Jamaica gets its name from the native Arawak language, meaning land of wood and water. The island has a strong global reputation for its biodiversity, nature, vibrant culture, and stunning beaches. However, due to the erosion and degradation of the coral reefs, this could all be under threat soon. I've spoken to experts in the field, local fishermen, and a member of the Jamaica Tourist Board to find out the reason why, but more importantly, to find a resolve. Alright, record.
There we go. It just
Alright,
started.
it says it now?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Perfect. Alright, thank you. Thank you for your patience, son.
Yeah, no problem. This is the least.
Shane Robinson, a marine biologist and coral expert with Smith Warner International, an NGO actively working to combat the issue, was generous enough to lend me his time and knowledge on the matter.
So, there are several causes, of course. We can think of the pollution factor. We can think of coastal development. We can think of improper fishing practices, overfishing. There are just several things we can think of. You have like tourism. Tourism also plays a role in all of this because you have some tourists out there that may want to touch, and of course the touched corals are sensitive organisms, so of course them touching the corals can inflict damage to the corals, and of course corals are a little bit of kind of harder to recover from any kind of impact like that, so it's harder for them. So you have to bear that in mind as well. And then in terms of regulation as well, there have been efforts out there, but of course there's need to enforce and strengthen all of these policies and regulations. Again, these NGOs are working off grants and whatever budget the governments can supply for them. So they might not have the resources for more enforcement, but with more attention given to the enforcement side and the policy side of things, that will be key. All right, so in the past, now the damages of the past, we have several reef restoration initiatives that have been carried out in Jamaica. There is the establishment of marine protected areas, so we have several protected areas around the island. In terms of the reef restoration, the NGOs in the marine protected areas actually serve a key role in that. Marine protected areas, those serve a key role in minimizing the impact from humans on the coral reefs. And what more can be done now? So of course this also ties in with the marine protected areas. I think a key part of this is establishing more marine protected areas, because again the corals are already under threat from climate change, but if you at least take out some of the impacts from them, then maybe we have a better chance of them naturally recovering, and then you have other heat, temperature resistant, temperature tolerant species that may come about, or our lineage is not even just species but lineage. Over time, it's gonna be a long process, it's gonna be a long time, but it might be possible. But removing that human impact would be very critical in this whole process.
Just based off our current trajectory and how the pace that we're moving at right now, where do you see us in 10 years regarding coral and coral reefs and preservation?
Because climate change, of course, it's happening, and it's happening at a faster rate than the corals can naturally bounce back from. So, but at the rate that it's happening at, we're probably gonna lose a lot of our corals.
That's sad. That's sad.
Yeah. Right. So you can look at it at like kind of a holistic kind of view of it. So, and it's like everything is connected. So you have a loss in the coral reefs, you have a disruption in fisheries, you have a loss in some people's economy, some people's livelihoods. You have a loss in tourism. So and then you're gonna lose that critical buffer that keeps your beach stable. Your beach is stable. So you're losing your beaches, you're losing your key coastal ecosystems. You're gonna lose some of what we have as our tourism product, the beaches that we like, and then you lose your fisheries. A lot of people are fishermen, they lose their livelihoods, and they have to find possible alternatives for that. And yeah, other factors, like you have to consider their livelihoods for one, because you're telling them that they can't or they shouldn't be, or you're suggesting that they shouldn't be harvesting all of these small fish and at such large quantities. But then what else would they do for their livelihoods?
The well-being of Jamaica's coastal communities are almost entirely dependent on fishing, and this has not only become an economic dependency for them, but is a cultural staple passed down throughout generations. Some of these coastal communities include historic areas such as Port Royal, Savlamar, Portmore, Morant Bay, and many more. Approximately 82% of Jamaica's population lives within 5 kilometers of the coast, making coral preservation an immediate concern for the majority of the population. Signature seafood dishes in Jamaica include escovitch fish, curry conch, curry lobster, escovitch lobster, mackerel rundown, curry crab, fish soup, conch fritters, and wahoo. The biodiverse nature of coral reefs is crucial to the sourcing of all these dishes.
Well, I've been fishing for over 19 years now.
Everard Brown is born and raised in one of Jamaica's most notorious fishing communities of Port Royal. Everard currently works with a local company called Loose Cannon, but he still uses fishing for extra income.
They need to come in our communities, talk to the fishermen, talk to the community, the people, higher folks in the community, and try and get things. Right here we used to fish with as kids. We don't have to go too far to make a living. We can just fish right here in the harbour. Now, everything polluted. We have no way to fish. So without the beer, we can't fish. And the dredging, take it away.
Fishermen like Everard all across Jamaica are willing to work in collaboration with NGOs, governing bodies, and environmentalists to preserve the coral reefs for themselves and future generations of their communities. However, there is a shared consensus enough is not being done, and they are not having their voices heard enough on the matter. If there's one word I can leave with my audience, policymakers and leaders, it's urgency. I beg that you all act. Before it is too late, act. Heal the wounds of the past and place the blocks for a better future. I make these cries now from Canada, but I've been blessed enough to experience the beauty of the island which I call home, culturally and aesthetically. I may not have had the privilege to experience the same Jamaica my parents and grandparents speak of, but I know for the children and future children of Jamaica, I want them to experience Jamaica in its entirety. These coral reefs belong to them, and the less we do about them, and the more we neglect them, and the less we act, the more of Jamaica we are taking away from them. This is more than just a beautiful scenery we'd be stripping them of, but an entire way of life which has been preserved for generations. My parents tell me stories about the abundance of coral which they had in their time, and I find it unbelievable. I don't want the future generations to relate to this feeling. As the saying goes, nothing nice like Jamaica. But that doesn't stay true without a bit of work. Jamaica has given us so much, and now it's time to give back to Jamaica.